right, we are live again. Hello, friends. Your camera.
Every time.
Right, right. Jess is just having some technical difficulties here.
Just I'm
I
so
love it.
sick.
Maybe we'll do this. Whoa.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm Alfyn. For anyone that does not know me, I'm with JMG Real Estate, and I'm here today with Jessica. She's from Guild Mortgage. She can tell you guys all about her. But today we're going to be talking about something that a lot of people ask, and maybe a lot of people don't know. For first time home buyers, we have down payment assistance programs. Jess will definitely touch on that. So, Jess, in case anyone doesn't know who you are, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Garcia. I'm a loan officer with Guild Mortgage. I've been in the industry for 5 years now, and I help a lot of first-time home buyers get into homes.
I love it. So, go ahead.
Now, as far as,
Go ahead.
I was
Yeah,
just going
let's
to jump
go.
right into it. So, something that struck me right now that you mentioned, Alfyn, is first-time
Mm,
homebuyer programs. But something that I need everyone to keep in mind is that regardless of whether you're a first-time homebuyer or not, there are still assistance programs for you. Now, there are a few caveats, right? Since you're not a first-time homebuyer, these programs may come with slightly higher interest rates or different kind of requirements, but it's still attainable. I still get many of my recurring buyers into these assistance programs that.
there you go. So, what would you say, first time home buyers, what should they do or what should they think about?
So, if you're a first time home buyer, I'm sure the process itself sounds a little daunting. The thing I hear the most is, aside from credit score concerns, is I don't have enough money to cover both a down payment and
Mm-hmm.
closing costs, right? And usually that will stop a lot of people from even moving forward with the step of asking a professional because they just know, like, they're afraid of being turned down, maybe even embarrassed. So instead, they just continue with this idea of, I have to save up, I have to save up. And then the years go by and we're still in square one and you're still thinking you can't buy. So that's why I always encourage that if you ever have the desire to own your own home, either now or later down in the future, just reach out to experts, talk to Alfyn, talk to me. We'll guide you through the process. And programs are coming in and out all the time. For example, for the longest time, one of the main programs that we were utilizing to cover for many of our buyers was the Home is Possible program. But the issue that we were encountering was that this program was asking for a 640 minimum credit score to qualify. And not everyone had that credit score. So a lot of people weren't able to take advantage of the assistance programs, regardless of whether they were first time home buyers or not, because they didn't have the right credit score.
Mm.
Well, guess what? We then later got an FHA zero down program that requires just a minimum 600 credit score to qualify. But if you would have maybe talked to an expert
Mm-hmm.
last year, I would have probably told you you need a 640. And then things changed a year later. So if an expert tells you something one year, but then you're still thinking about it, go ahead and check back in with them and ask them if there are any new programs that have been available or become available that might have different to now.
Yeah, it's always just good to be in the know. And, don't be afraid to reach out. Just like Jessica said, we'll be happy to give you the information. Also, putting myself in a first time home buyer's shoes, they would ask, well, what is closing costs? What's the difference between that and down payment? Could you give us a little sample?
Of course. So there's two things you're responsible to pay for at the time of a home purchase. Down payment, which if you're a first time home buyer or simply getting into a primary residence, so you're going to be living in this home as your full time home, the requirement is typically between 3 to 5%. Well, let's stick to the most popular loan for first time home buyers for the most part, which is FHA. The FHA stands for Federal Housing Administration. That is the most common loan out there. Now, with that loan, the minimum down payment requirement is 3.5%. So that would be 3.5% of the purchase price of the home. Depending on the purchase price, you just do the math and that's the number. That's how much of a down payment you need to come up with. But aside from a down payment, we have closing costs, as Alfyn mentioned. So closing costs are all of those third-party fees that are involved in the escrow process. That's the people who are going to be doing your inspection, your appraisal, and the title company for the most part. That includes the prepaids. So whenever you have an escrow account, that means the bank is going to take care of covering your own property taxes and homeowners for insurance for you. So you don't have to give that in a lump sum, which can be heavy at the end of the year, beginning of the year, whenever that, insurance or property taxes get reassessed. So the escrow account at the time of closing, we have to keep a little cushion of that. So that's part of your closing cost as well, so that we can pay those for you as the months go by. So those are all closing costs. And on average, those can be, depending on the price of the home, about 3 to 4% of the price of the home.
And then
So you have like a 3.5% down payment plus like 3 to 4% for closing costs. That's kind of hard to save for. It's not very common.
agree. But shifting towards what we're seeing in today's market, we're able to kind of ask for some of the seller credits. And that's what we're seeing as well when offers come in is people are asking for those seller credits so that we can cover those closing costs. So that's what's cool about getting in the market now is that you have the opportunity to go ahead and ask for some seller credit to
Mhm.
cover those closing costs.
Yes, which is very common in a buyer's market, which we still are in right now. One thing to keep in mind is there's a market for everyone. I do hear from a lot of clients who tell me, I'm just going to go ahead and wait for
Mm,
rates to get better. First of all, we have no idea when that'll happen.
yeah.
Second of all, you and everybody else who's waiting for interest rates to get better are going to be in the same market at the same time, which means you're going to have
Competition.
way more competition when making offers on homes. And that means you might no longer have the option of getting your closing costs covered by the seller. So just
Yeah,
one thing to
let's
keep in
say
mind.
1-2% drop. Let's just say hypothetically. But then your home prices goes up, your competition goes up, and what if there's no more seller credits? So, you get more
Right.
options jumping in now.
Yeah, and I'm going to
So,
say this very salesy thing that I hate saying sometimes, but it's true, which is you marry the home and you date the interest rate. So, what that means is if that's the home you want, that's the perfect home you see yourself and your family in, there is no reason, unless of course you absolutely cannot afford the mortgage payment, right? But if you're just making a small sacrifice of maybe a few $100s in a mortgage payment difference for where you want to be and where you're at now, keep in mind interest rates are always coming down, which means you get to keep the home, the perfect home, and then we can refinance you into the perfect interest rate. And now you have the best of both
awesome. And
worlds.
also, before we, move forward, I just want to say, in order for you, if you're a first time home buyer or you want to buy later on and you want to get a general idea on how it all works step by step, go ahead and scan the QR code you see right here. And we have a free webinar, which is Saturday from 11 to 12. So, right here, scan for free, register, and it's a webinar. So, it's online. You can be in your pajamas if you want to, but we'll be there to answer any of your questions. Okay, so back on.
Exactly.
Before I forget, I just wanted to let everybody know we have that free webinar coming up. So, okay, marry the home, date the interest rate. I love the idea.
Take the rate.
People definitely keep that in mind when you're shopping, because there's always options to go ahead and refi later. So, I want to ask,
Mm-hmm.
Why understanding your monthly budget is super important and not just your savings.
Yes, the reason is because you obviously don't can chew, right? We want to make sure you feel comfortable in the mortgage payment you are getting into. And sometimes it takes some sacrifice, right? Maybe you're renting right now an apartment for 2 grand and your mortgage
Mm-hmm.
payment is 2,400. So that's $400 more than what you're paying. It's not ideal, but we also
Mm-hmm.
have to keep in mind that when you're renting that money, where is that going? Who the hell knows?
Yeah. To
It's not
another
going into
person.
your pocket, that's for sure. So with a home, you maybe have to make that $400 sacrifice, maybe less Starbucks visits, maybe eating out less. But at the end of the day, it's something that's for you and something that's actually accruing value and equity that you can later on exploit as well. So I think of a home as kind of like a piggy bank where there's a lot of money that's just saving, saving, saving until you're actually ready to pull it out. That could also help you pay off your mortgage a lot sooner later down the road.
Agree. And then, okay, I know people don't know possibly like the difference between pre-approved and pre-qualification. And, that process at itself, I know people are just scared to just try and jump on. What is the difference?
Yeah, so a pre-approval, if your lender did their job right, they're going to go ahead and get all of those documents that are going to determine whether you qualify or not during this pre-approval process, right? That's the one you want to get instead of a pre-qualification. The pre-approval is pretty much an in-depth look of your income. We calculate your income, we make sure we catch any hiccups or any issues with credit that we need to take care of. And at that point, what Guild Mortgage does is even before you get into
Mm-hmm.
contract on a home, we're going to go ahead and pre-approve you. That means I've ran your information through our desktop underwriting system. It's ultimately the bad guy, guys. It's a computer. So that it pretty much will read your information and then it'll let us know whether I can qualify you or not. If it says yes, you're pre-approved, I will get you a pre-approval letter. You can start house hunting. And with that pre-approval letter, you can actually make offers. Now, if we only do a pre-qualification, we're looking at everything kind of over the top. We're not really going into detail. We may not even get all of your documents to verify that we're calculating your income correctly. That's pretty much just giving you an idea of what it looks like you might qualify for. But that's not going to get you a pre-approval letter. Therefore, you won't be ready to actually start house hunting and making offers on homes quite yet. All it is just a little bit of information for
Mm-hmm.
you to be aware of and maybe even make an educated decision on whether you want to take that extra step and actually get fully pre-approved with the bank.
I love that. Great definition. That would definitely help a lot of people kind of differentiate what does pre-qual and pre-approval mean. So love it. Again, everybody,
Yes.
coming Saturday, 11 to 12, we have a step-by-step buying process, what your assistant programs are available, tips to set yourself up for success, whether it's now or later on in the future. There is no pressure. We just want to definitely educate and give this valuable information to anyone who is wanting to buy now or later. So if that's you or you know anyone that's looking to buy later, just DM us or just go ahead and scan that QR code. It's free to register, free to tune in, gather the information, set you up for success. And if you have any questions, we're just here to help. So, Jess, do you have any final thoughts or final thing to add?
I just think that if this piqued your curiosity and you want to know more, maybe you have more questions after everything we just talked about, and you want to delve more into depth on what down payment assistance programs are out there, what are the interest rates looking like, go ahead and scan that QR code because we will be answering those questions completely free. If you're a person who's a little scared
Mm-hmm.
of commitment and maybe picking up the phone and talking to that one lender is a little too scary for you right now, go ahead and just sign up for it and we'll do it in a group setting.
I love it. Yeah, Jess is not scary at all. She's straight to the point. She'll get it done for you. She's amazing. So if you're just
No.
curious or know anyone that is, there's the code, there's the QR code. Go ahead and scan and register. So if you feel like this is of value, or anyone that would benefit from any of this information, go ahead and share this live, or even tag them in the comments below. All right. Well, other than that, you guys have a wonderful Thursday, and see you guys soon. Bye.